This is the story of Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in the village near in the big forest. Her grandma had made her a beautiful red cloak with a big red hood, which she wore every time she went outside. That's why everyone in the village called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, the Little Red Riding Hood mother said, "Grandma isn't feeling very well. Will you take this basket of food through the forest to her cottage?" "Yes, mother," said Little Red Riding Hood. "I shall wait clock to see Grandma." She put on her red cloak and she called up her red hood and she took a basket of food into the forest. "Remember," her mother called after her, "don't talk to any strangers along the way. I wait." Little Red Riding Hood promised and she skipped down the path and into the woods. Little Red Riding Hood, they don't have to worry about getting lost in the forest because she knew her grandmother's house very well. But along the way, she saw some beautiful wallflowers going near the path. "I bet Grandma would really love this," she said to herself, and she started to pick a few. "Hello, little girl," said a deep growling voice from behind her. Little Red Riding Hood was very stout to spun around and saw a big bad wolf standing in the shadow between two trees. "Hello," said the Little Red Riding Hood. She didn't know that the wolf was bad, and she orderly forgot that mother words don't talk to stranger. "Where are you going on this fine day?" asked the big bad wolf. "I'm going to my grandma's cottage on the other side of the forest," said Little Red Riding Hood. "She isn't feeling very well, so I'll bring him a basket of food and these flowers." "What a sweet girl you are," said a big bad wolf. He showed, smiled, and his mouth full of sharp teeth. The big bad wolf was quite hungry and he is not interested in the basket of food. "I think I need to go ahead," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Bye," and she skipped down the path. The big bad wolf starting grumble and growl with hunger, and suddenly he had an idea. As quick as he could, he ran through the forest all the way to Grandma's cottage. The sneaky wolf opened the door very quietly and found Grandma sleeping in her bed. He picked up the old woman, opened his great big mouth, and he swallowed pulled Grandma in one gulp. Then the big bad wolf climbed into the bed and pulled the blanket up onto his chin. He put on Grandma's glasses and her nut head, and he waited for the low girl to arrive with her flowers and basket of food. When Little Red Riding Hood arrived to the cottage, she opened the door quietly and found Grandma lying in bed. "Hello, Grandma. Mother told me you weren't feeling very well, so I bought some food and some flowers. Do you like it?" "What a little girl you are," said a wolf in his fake grandma's voice. "Come closer, my dear." Little Red Riding Hood took a step closer, and she noticed that something looked different about Grandma. "My," she said, "what a big eyes you have, Grandma." "All the better to see you with," said the big bad wolf. "Come closer, my dear." Little Red Riding Hood took another step closer to the bed. "My," she said, "what a big ears you have, Grandma." "All the better to hear you with." "Come closer, my dear." Little Red Riding Hood took one more step closer. "My, what a big teeth you have, Grandma." And she said, and surprised, "All the better to eat you with." "Groar!" growled the big bad wolf. He jumped out of the bed and it's easier to pick her big mouth. "Oh!" The Little Red Riding Hood screamed and tried to run, but the hungry wolf grabbed her up and swallowed Little Red Riding Hood in just one gulp. Outside the cottage, the woodsman happened to walking through the forest when he heard a loud scream and surprised when he opened the door and looked inside and he saw the wolf with his huge round belly. The woodsman grabbed the big bad wolf and turning upside down and Snooky by his fate, Little Red Riding Hood came tumbling out of the wolf's mouth and Grandma's fall on. The three of them chased the big bad wolf out of the cottage, out of the forest and over the hill. The big bad wolf ran for his life and never come again.